Showers and storms moved across the state last night, even this morning, but did we see the rainfall help drought conditions?
We sure hope so, because we needed that rain. Let's get to a meteorologist, Taylor Wilhite, now, who joins us with the totals of what we saw. Hey, Haley.
Yes, saw a lot of that rainfall really impact areas where the drought is currently at its worst right now. But in addition to some of the rain we did have a couple storm reports, especially out in far northwest Kansas. Had some half-inch hail reported in Goodland, about 8 miles south of Kenneredo. A landspout was reported, and also to a gust of 58 miles per hour was reported just outside of Tribune. So a few marginally severe storms we were keeping an eye on last night, but also last night just keeping an eye on the rainfall. You can see a nice little swath of those blues, even some greens between Scott City and Great Bend, and some localized heavy rainfall at times. And so just looking at some of those rain totals out in west central Kansas, Dighton and Hill City about 3/4 of an inch, Scott City, Goodland about a quarter or more inch of rainfall in areas near Hayes and Colby, a little bit less than a quarter of an inch. But Ness City and Larned really up near an inch of rainfall. Ness City, you did break an inch in rainfall, which is absolutely amazing to see, because it's hard to get an inch of rainfall over the past couple of weeks, but still seeing a little bit less the farther south in the state. But we just saw some more rain moving across south central Kansas. So far from what we're seeing, just about a trace, or maybe about a tenth of some rainfall, tenth of an inch moving into south central Kansas. And we're going to be sure to post all these rain numbers for you all across the state coming up here within the next hour. So be sure to be on the lookout for that on your Storm Team 12 weather app.